Hello, hello. This is Michael Douglas, and this is my first attempt on taking an interview. Not exactly taking an interview, but showcasing what I've been doing the last few months, trying to recover a little bit of my confidence, my self-confidence, when it comes to code, when it comes to interview, when it comes to talk to people. So yeah, I didn't prepare anything. You can see I don't have many stuff open right now. Um, the idea is just to show whatever I have uh, as automation developer, as how can I say, as a architect. So the main idea is to show a little bit of automation. So first of all, I'm a software developer. Let me show my website. It's not complete, but at least can show a little bit of myself. So I'm Mike Condolis. I'm a software architect at Nasdaq. I've been working building test frameworks with C Sharp for most companies that I work it for. I've been working mostly with Playwright and Rack and Roll. The Rack and Roll is the tool that replaced the SpecFlow tool, which was open source as well, was created by the same guys, so it's still the same tool. Usually work with API testing and also front end testing, given the tools that I'm working. Azure DevOps is the main place that I'm working, especially for the repo. When it comes to backend development, I like to use clean architecture. So yeah, that's me. On my CV, you have kind of two views. The idea is to have a business side where you see that I have 10 years of more than 10 years of experience already. So working for IBM, Santander, Coca-Cola, and the Revco, like awesome and big companies. One of my biggest accomplishment was saving 5 millions yearly when doing automation for IBM. This was when they were implementing um, the GDPR. So the GDPR at the time we had all our contractors and employees' data is stored in Brazil, and due to the GDPR in US and Europe, we had to move and recreate most of those systems across the world. So using the robots, we saved 5 million in employees, and not only in employees but also in employee in systems in by using automation, so avoiding all the repetitive work between serializing the data, splitting them, moving the data specifically for each country with its own specification. So yeah, it was a fun job to do. But let's have a look. You have a little bit of my CV and experience here. I'll not deep dive into it. You guys have already my CV and heard this a lot. So, a few projects that I've been working with is the Gherkin integration test framework. This is one that I work at mostly across companies, and this is really nice to feel. I'll show a little bit of this on GitHub, and then I'll show a little bit on Azure DevOps as well. But the idea of Playwright and Rack and Roll is to execute tasks in a way of manipulating front end, or what I mean, it's DOMs, so we can simulate the user behavior across the website and validate the data, validate accessibility, validating everything that come across this. Um, so deep diving a little bit into the code will make this a little bit more technical. If you heard about Gherkin before, you probably heard on how those requirements are written, right? Let me get the Bing search that is the simplest one. So I'll give you an example. The Gherkin was a language created so you can talk between POs and the non-technical people and technical people, not exactly POs, because I had technical POs that was really nice to work with. But anyway, I'm just diverging. Um, the idea is to have both technical and non-technical people working together. And pay attention to this presentation because I will show how non-technical people can act as well on those files and even create tests without changing proper code lines. All right. So the idea is you have a scenario, and for each scenario, those are steps that will be executed in a sequence. All right, and validated. At the back, you're gonna see that each step, for example, for the Bing search, I'll have my search here, for example. Um, Give you a navigate to Bing homepage, then we'll call my code that handles the navigate. We'll call my search term, we'll call other stuff. And those steps here, they're gonna be handling and dealing with the pages. All right. Sometimes you're gonna see, and I started creating, still didn't finish the base page, but the idea of the base page is to reuse some functions, some information, so we don't be recreating many stuff. So here I map all the information for the website, the locators, how I'm gonna fill its information and so on. Might not be making much sense right now, but it's gonna make sense when we run into the pipeline. So the idea of the project and what is the interesting part for anyone outside the dev team or the test team will be this, all right, including the dev team actually, to be honest uh, because here you're going to validate your business rules. So all the business rules should be listed here in a way that's going to be accessed. Um, and the cool part is, let me even get the Bing, no, the simple search feature. This is a cool one to show because I have my positive test here. I have another positive test that is exactly the same as this one, but it was only implemented by changing this. No code change was needed. And let me show how this works in the pipeline. Will make more sense. So here in the pipeline, you're going to see that it's failing. This is a thing that I wanted because I want to show something here, how it reports. Um, when I run my test, I can run, select which browser I'm going to be running, if I want to run in headless mode, if I need tracing, video recording, and screenshots. I'll click run, just skip the basics. Let me update here, and it's running. So this should take some time to run. We'll download all the necessary docking images and packages that is needed to run this test. And oh yeah, while that I can, while it's initializing and running, because our idea is to see this, oops, not like this, because we have pretty much the same pipeline running on Azure DevOps. And I want to show you how this works on the other side as well. We have our repo that is exactly the same repo we have here. You're going to see playwright, rack and roll, all the pages and steps and feature files that I created. So it's pretty much the same thing. Those are examples, those are inputs and variables that I can be creating and creating more here in order to test. Um, so the idea is to be running our pipeline the same way. Um, I'm gonna get the demo. This one is failing as well. So let's run again the same information. This one is a thing that I was trying to implement, but it's still not finished. That is where you can select the category you want to run. But so far, I will not be using this. So I can just run, and it's gonna happen pretty much the same thing. Here we can see and the same visualization. Just remembering that Microsoft is owner of GitHub as well. So pretty much a few backend stuff runs in a different environment. The cool part about this one, and I'm gonna show you, this is actually running in my house. This is an on-prem server that I have to run in my house. I can show you here in the agent pools. And this is pretty cool because my agent, you can see, is the home server. that is online and run the field servers. So the idea is I don't pay for the time I use the Azure DevOps, right? I'm using the free version, and then I run everything that I need at home. So it's quite faster, honestly, because I have a pretty nice, pretty decent machine. So this sends a hook to my machine. My machine picks up the job and then executes back to with all the answers that I need. But also the Azure will takes care of the configuration and running this inside Docker. So I don't need to worry about the environment or the difference about the environments. This is a lot of DevOps mixed with testing things. You can see that my tests are running and the pages are created. Tests are passing, as you can see here, passed, passed, passed. The same should be happening here, running tests. You can see, oh, here we have an error, timeout exceeded, exceeded. Those are the expected one, and I'll show you why. Um, okay, it's almost finished, passed. This one failed, invalid credentials, probably around the same error. Yep, the timeout. So all of those are expected, and GitHub is gonna populate for us the summary in a little bit different way from what we have in Azure DevOps. I like more the way Azure DevOps works. I don't know why they didn't implement something like this for GitHub. Um, but while it loads, um, code coverage is not gonna load because this is not the intention of this test. Let me see, still running the tests. Yeah, that's a lot of tests. Those are the postage calculator for the government job. And you can see it's saving traces, videos, and stuff. All right. So this is the cool and tricky part that I wanted to show you guys. In a sec. This is gonna run for about 5 minutes. So you can fast forward the video if you need a little bit of time, because this is a long video already, I know that. So yeah, my test is completed. It's gonna say that it's failed in order to return the error um, to my pipeline, all right? So 4 tests failed, 19 passed, 23 total. This is the cool part. Let me show you a little bit of this. So here's going to show a bit of the information of my pipeline, what happened. Postage calculator failed, a few other fails. Um, the cool part that I can do is I can download the videos, screenshots, and traces, and then I can run them um, on my local machine and understand what is happening with my tests. So for example, if I get the playwright video, let me open here. You're gonna see that has all the videos and I can see which one failed. For example, login with invalid credentials. So this one executed like this. So it is returning both fields are required dot. What is the error that is happening? And you can see the other ones that passed shows invalid username or password. So, um, what might be happening with our test? Let me show you the let me show you the test here because it's really really fun to show here. So I like more um, the kind of report that Azure DevOps creates. All right. So for example, here I can see a little bit of the trace. which locator. So this is important for the tester that is validating, so we can create the proper report with this information. There's no attachment because I'm not outputting any console logs, but if I was, it would be here. All right. So you remember those tests that I just mentioned, and right here is a little bit easier to trace or to view anything because I can just download the single file that I want. Like both fields are required. You can see we just executed the same thing on both sides. And the idea behind this is, for example, I said that I want POs to be able to look into it and execute. So if I look into the home page, the home page, no, not home page, I'm sorry, not pages, but into feature files, and I go to login. My login flow is going to be this one. I'm going to do it right here and test for you guys to see. So you can see that this covers this test right here. So in order to change and to create a new test, I just need to do this, copy, and then paste. With empty credentials, I'm going to change the name so we don't have any problems with it. With empty credentials, those are not empty, right? Those are, and that's it. So instead of invalid username or password, what was both fields are required, I think. Dot. All right, that's it. I can then commit my file to master. I did my commit, and let's see, my pipeline just started automatically, which I love it, right? That's the intention. Anything that I commit will create and execute my pipeline. So while that, I'm going to show other stuff that I've been playing with as well, because this is going to take around 5 minutes. So, yep, by saying that, let's get to Bruno. Bruno is a tool that is replacing Postman because it's open source. It's a really, really nice tool to use, and I really like to play around with it. I have a few other stuff to show that is, for example, in mycon.io, if we get here, you're gonna see the driving theory app that I created, which is pretty much my app for learning how to drive in the Isle of Man. I'm not getting into it too much, but I have a backend service to show as well with Rider, which let me close this because I showed already. It can be closed as well. So this one is pretty much where I was playing around with C Sharp when I first moved to the Isle of Man. Later on, I started playing around with Keycloak, which is a, authentication management system. I'm not deep diving into it, but I was playing around on how I deal with authentication in a proper way. So two things was implemented here. In Aristotle demo, you're gonna see that I created an entire microservice, and even though it doesn't look like a microservice, this is uh, a clean architecture microservice where you're gonna see how to manipulate your data, how you separate your concerns, how you deal with proper exceptions, how you split your domains. You're going to see that we have exceptions in both of them. One related only to domain, another one related to the database and infrastructure layer. And down the line, we need to put those two together as well. So yeah, it was a really, really nice work that I did here. And it feels that I'm prizing myself, but yeah, it's a little bit in a sense of how you deal with your errors. because most of the people is going to think about the happy paths, but there's a clean architecture here. It is thinking about what could go wrong. And the idea is we're going to test every kind of error that happens in a centralized place where when we it get out, we know exactly what is failing, all right? Or in last, of course, you're gonna have unexpected errors, but you're gonna have like the request path, which kind of exception, what is the status, what is the payload that brought this, depending if you are on production or not, and yada yada. All right, so the idea for this is just having a simple domain, and I'm gonna run this in a sec. But we have here a Postgres, what is saving my data that is going through the backend. We have Keycloak that is handling all the authentication service. So also what I'm doing here is creating a whole system where the authentication is properly working. All right. So let's go for my Docker Compose where I can show you how this properly works. Sorry about that. So going to Keycloak and Postgres, it will start in a sec. This is the most cool part because my Keycloak is not configured yet. It's just vanilla. So you can see here, I have just a little configuration when it comes to environment, all right? But it's more to make it connectable to our service or database service, all right? And ports. So I don't have many stuff. So I would need to go through Keycloak to configure everything. But what I did, honestly, is not that. My idea, honestly, was to make everything automatic. So I created a script, and again, I like frameworks, I like scripts. So that's how I like to work. And again, I'm just assuming this, I would have free time to talk. I don't know why. Yes. Oh, you were on DevTools already. Okay. So .NET build, just to build or a small tool, and you're gonna see I created a small help here for this guy. Is it working? Yep, just a keycloak command. Nah, not really helpful. But anyway, um, I'll put this keycloak setup here. And what this guy is gonna do is it's gonna create, oh, pretty much is explained here. We'll create my realm. We'll create two OAuth clients, which is for API and mobile, because back in the days I was using this for my um, driving app backend, and then I shifted to Node.js. We'll create the roles, the groups, the test users, and also will map the protocols that is needed. So I condensed everything that I needed to know into this script, which is still a little bit of a nightmare. And I still saying like, hey, don't use this for production. But if you guys want to have a look, just deep dive into my GitHub account. That being said, let's run the setup. So you're gonna see it connected to Keycloak and executed everything. All right, we have a few test users here and other stuff, which is nice. I can use admin and admin 123. All right, if I want to test this, Michael, how do I test this? I can do like this as well. It's gonna test everything. Of course, I'm a tester, so we need to validate um, this kind of stuff. Once this is created, I can start my project. And the idea for this project is just to have a few endpoints, not a lot. You can see that provision to the database already because the database was clean, so it created and brought everything that is needed. Right, database migration was applied and everything. Okay, so that being said, we might have a or information here. This guy will provide us with a just-in-time um, user provisioning. Yeah, just-in-time user provisioning. So the idea is our user doesn't exist in your database. It exists on the Keycloak database, but we need to move data across it, right? So the idea is when I authenticate, I can request the user profile and other information as my scope. Keycloak is going to ask, okay, which user is this? I can use admin123 that we just created and sign in. This is now logged in. I can just try and execute and it's going to bring all my information. If we look here, it executed to select the user. The user didn't exist, so now it's provisioning a new user with this username and with this name and this email address, which it didn't need to type at all because it brought from the information it got from the token. All right. Of course, this is a redundancy of data, and email in this case should be the Keycloak responsibility, but this is just for show. All right. So how do I test this? I just tested this, but I want something better. I could come to Bruno, for example. I have my development here, and if I go to runner, I can literally just click and run, and all my tests will be executed. And this also can run on the pipeline. And if I'm not mistaken, probably I'm running this on my pipeline. Let me have a look at GitHub. So when I go to my apps, this is the demo one. Yep, probably I am running. If I go to actions, Uh, the main one, what's the last one? Yep, I'm running the integration tests as well, which is nice. Here they are reporting like this: how many tests passed, how many tests passed for integration. These are the unit tests. Those are the integration tests. Um, the pipeline execution, the Docker file, if something changed, how much was cached, how much changed since last change, and so on, so you can inspect if needed. Um, so yeah, oh, those guys finished. So when running your test, 5 tests failed. That's sad. Let's check why your test failed. Okay, same error, and same error. Let me just check if was that correct. Yep, probably I wrote something wrong. Let me have a look at the playwright screenshot. Both fields are required. Did I type it right? Let's check. This should be correct. Yep, they are all equal. So let's see the video. Oh no, still failing because I didn't delete the other ones, which is expected. Sorry guys, it happens. So it should run again while the other one is running here. So continuing, this one is going to show everything that you need to run. It's pretty much the same thing. You can save everything that you need. The Bruno tests are here as well. Um, they contain all the information that we need in order to to understand. Let me show you in a sec. Not this one. This one. Yep, this is my Bruno test with the information that I needed, my requests. Here we go. What was answered by my with the response body, all the tests that I created, like those information. There's no test description or other informations because it's not needed so far. So yeah, those are our reports and all the information that I've been creating. Also, the pipeline is now running. Let's see, should be a little bit faster. Not a lot, honestly, but invalid username and password. We are close already to the test that we just failed. So this one pass. Dashboard for user pass. Sorry about that. You can fast forward this as well, of course. What else do I have to show? Well, I can show a little bit of the unit tests in this case. Um, Going to user and the user test. I think the part that I like the most is around this guy here, because many tests here feels that they are not needed. But in this case, I'm just testing how we are throwing or or exceptions, how we are dealing with them. Time to time, I verify if the logger was called because no one wants error to happen. But when they do happen, are our logs reporting correctly, at least at the right moment? So this is the kind of validation that I'm doing. Even though you can see we just invoke the middleware here, with not a lot of information, for example, around the logger and stuff, but it should call the logger at the end. Um, so yeah, this one is the coolest. Yep, it fixed the implementation when I was throwing a random error where that's where I created the implementation for like, okay, let's go level by level because a few status codes like for a wait, it's normal, but not that normal to be tested locally. So yeah, this is kind of important, especially when we are dealing with other endpoints where we create chained endpoints. So yeah, it's just simple. This is the verify logger. I pretty much created a wrapper, so I don't need to be dealing with this all the time. Usually, I'm just dealing with the expected level, not validating for now the accept not exactly deception, but not exactly the deception or messages or other stuff. It's more like, hey, it was thrown, how it was, and so on. And later on, I'm going to improve this, of course. It's just to validate if it was called at least once. So, yeah, that's it. Let me see if the tests pass. Okay, probably the government one failed, but we have a different range of errors now. Let's see. So, yeah, we have searched for playwright on Bing. Something happened. Was waiting to be visible but didn't work. And this one is just the postage flow that I was expecting already because I didn't finish this test completely. So yeah, oh, the test that we created, and let me show you here. Um, let's show only the pass. Passed. You can see with empty credentials, it worked. And if I try to go through the published here and playwright traces with invalid, where's empty credentials? Oh, those are empty credentials. Oh, those are the traces, sorry. The traces are really, really cool to show as well. I'm gonna show in a sec. Empty credential. It's here. You can see that it passed, right? It showed both fields are required with only one here. So let's get the trace for the one that just failed. There's one that passed and another one that failed. Let's see the one that failed. If I go to the playwright, um, sorry about that. It's just playwright v playwright trace viewer. Yeah, sorry, my English is not English at all. And add this here. Done. So if I get just the file that I just dropped, that's the cool part. You can also view all the traces, um, or everything that happened. So, for example, the create page, I navigate um, to the main page, all the selections that I executed. You can see pretty much like a movie, right? And the cool part is like you can manipulate a little bit to show or even inspect in order to um, improve your tests or even deep dive into what happened. All right. So in this case, started doing everything and wait for selector is where it fails. So exactly what happened is our page was not able to load this little guy here. And this little guy would change this space for business. So unfortunately, it didn't work. So it took a screenshot. So yeah, if you need to see, for example, okay, when I search or fill which is specific information, let me get, for example, click, let me get this little guy here. What happens on my console? Um, on my network, for example, okay, do I have what I do I receive from my server? I can inspect the page like if I was on Chrome Live. And this is going to help all the backend developers and front-end developers to understand what was sent, what was not. All right. So this is really, really cool, right? You can see here all the information that was sent and was sent here by the backend. So my response, there's my body, for example. You can see here all the address that was sent by the backend. So yeah, we register everything. So I think that's pretty much what I have to show. I didn't show my app, but honestly, it's not the idea right now. I have too many stuff to show. I think this video is around 40 minutes already. So yeah, I think I can hold a 1 hour interval.